Hey, Bulls and Bears, it is Friday, April 22nd, 2022. Let's talk about this ongoing, worsening food crisis, something that probably everyone here can agree that we should all be very, very concerned about. When we talk about the stock market, not everyone is in the stock market. When we talk about the housing market, not everyone is worried about home prices or priced out of the market. People already have their homes in many cases. People that bought several years ago are actually in a better position than people are buying today at these high prices. But food and the situation with the shortages, the situation with the farms, I think we can all agree that all of us have some level of concern with food and what is happening today. Food banks are panicking as shortages worsen at many of these food banks. The lines are getting longer. Farms are being crushed with these high costs. And now the number of chicken and turkeys killed because of this illness outbreak across several different states is now over 27 million turkeys and chickens. Absolute nightmares unfolding, folks. Let's get a look into some important news and updates on this topic. New Food Magazine is out with a report. Feeding America calls for action as U.S. hunger crisis looms. Folks, this is getting serious. Hunger crisis looms. Now, we've been warning about this for 2 years. For over 2 years, we've been telling you to buy seeds, get your gardening gloves on, and try to be more self-sufficient, try to stock up on canned foods. And I'll be the first to admit, even though I was warning about this years ago, I still didn't prepare to the level that I wish I would have. And we still have time, right? This thing is just getting started. There's not going to be any magic thing to come in, any instant fix to come in and reverse all the things that have led us to this point. So you still have time, but yes, things are going to get a lot worse. And now we're seeing warnings out of places like Feeding America. Demand on food banks remains high in the U.S. as rising food prices and inflation continue to affect the country. Now, let's take a step back and think about this. Does this make sense? We were told by a lot of the financial news outlets that there was an amazing economic recovery, that the stimulus check, all the checks that were sent out in 2020, 2021, that they helped people. We were told that the cancellation of rents were going to help people get back on their feet. We were told that the low unemployment means the economy is doing great. Why are we seeing the higher demand at food banks if everything is so wonderful and if we're seeing this amazing economic recovery? And you would think that topics like this food situation, you would think that would be headline news every night, since everyone has a stake in this particular crisis. Let's talk about what's happening up in Michigan, Metro Detroit. Food banks and pantries seeing longer lines. Wow, so what's going on here? We were told that if they just printed enough money, if they just passed another budget bill, if we just went further into debt, if we just ran up more debt nationally and handed out more money to certain groups, that everything would get better. But it seems like things are continuing to get worse. So what's going to be the solution here since all this money printing led us to this point? Well, it's likely going to be more money printing, more spending, larger and larger deficits, and on and on and on. So folks, hold on to your seatbelts, continue to brace because it's not looking like things are headed in the right direction. Things are getting worse. Many different food banks reporting this. Another recent report, this one out of Augusta, as household expenses continue to climb. The lines at Augusta Food Bank grow longer. Families are struggling to put food on the table and turn to local food banks, organizers of this nonprofit say. Now, to me, a very interesting part of all this is all the people that I talk to almost every day that are surprised that this is happening, that no one saw this coming. People actually thought that deficit spending, passing bigger and bigger debt, bigger and bigger spending packages would actually grow food. They didn't realize that it's just going to have people buying up more food and there's less food now to buy. And I guess people thought that rising costs were going to make more farms pop up. But no, the opposite's happening. Farms are on the edge, many farms on the edge. More and more farms headed into bankruptcy. I think we're going to see this storm get much, much darker as we progress here into the year 2022. And I'm really afraid to see what's going to be going down in 2023 and beyond, because I think this is not going to be a fast fix. There's no easy solutions here. It's going to be a lot of pain, and it's going to be very grueling for a lot of people. And I know I still have a lot of people down on the comments of this channel trying to blame one person or blame one party. Look at the national debt, the 30 trillion national debt. This right here, this was not ran up. This was not accumulated by one person or even one party. This was accumulated by people on the left, people on the right. This was allowed over many, many decades. And even if you do want to blame one person or one party or one view, that's not going to get us anywhere. We need to figure out how we're going to make it through this. And there's lots of other channels out there about gardening, about homesteading, so I won't try to get too much into that. But I can tell you I am planning a lot more stuff right now. And just bought a couple more fruit trees over the past weekend. They actually had some at Costco. So I got another orange tree. And I'm just trying to brace, for what's ahead of us. But anyone saying that this is just the current problem, anyone saying that this wasn't foreseeable, you have to laugh at them, because all the writing was on the wall several years ago that we were headed in this direction, and now here we are. Let's talk about what is happening with the farms, the rising cost of fertilizer, the rising costs in general, rising property costs, taxes are going up, rising costs of fertilizer. Now add on top of all that, over 27 million chickens and turkeys killed, with the sickness outbreak going through many, many farms in several different states. Out of PETA, 27 million birds slaughtered en masse amid nationwide bird flu outbreak. Now, some of the vegans out there have really used this crisis as a way to step up their game and urging people to become vegetarian. Well, there might be millions of people forced to be vegetarians if this continues. The problem is they're not going to be eating meat, but they might not have much else to eat either if this continues with what we're seeing with the farms. The war helped drive up the cost of fertilizer, as Russia, one of the leading exporters of fertilizers in the world. Now, what I think is obviously going to happen, we're going to start seeing people cutting back more on non-essentials. We already saw what happened with Netflix, how they lost subscribers for the first time, and I think in over a decade, and that caused the stock to plunge. And I think a lot of other entertainment items, non-essentials, you're going to see that as well. So you might want to think about that when you're investing or thinking about what stocks to buy, or if you're thinking about buying the dip, think about that. Will people want to invest in stocks when they don't have any food in the cupboard? And when there's no longer the little investor or the little guy in the market, will the big investors, the hedge funds, etc., will they want to stay in the markets knowing that they can no longer take the money from the little investors? Well, please let me know what you think down in the comments. What do you think about all this? To me, it looks like the food crisis is continuing to get worse, and I think it's going to get a lot worse down the road. I'd like to hear from you down in the comments, everybody. Hope you're well. Keep stacking, stay safe. Big love. Bye.